Today, we're diving into a story that's really got everyone talking Hollywood, DC, media circles. It's about well, the indefinite suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Yeah, quite a story developing.
And let's just be really clear right off the bat, Jimmy Kimmel hasn't actually been fired. You might have seen that floating around, but that's not the official word.
Right, the distinction matters here. Suspended, not fired.
Exactly. But honestly, what is happening might be even more significant in the long run. His show's basically been put on ice, future totally up in the air, and it's giving us this like real-time look at how corporate media works when politics and money collide.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission for this deep dive is, well, to get beyond just the headlines. We want to understand what led to this pretty unprecedented move, and maybe more importantly, what it signals, for comedy, for free speech, for the media companies themselves.
Because this involves some huge players.
Oh, yeah. Multiple big media companies, a federal regulator sort of looming in the background, and tragically, it all spins out from the recent death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. It's a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. And I think this really serves as a, well, sort of case study. It helps us explore where that line gets drawn in public commentary. Who draws it? Especially when you've got serious political heat on these big corporations.
Right.
Understanding those dynamics is, I think, really crucial for anyone trying to make sense of the media landscape today, how things get handled or maybe how they get shut down.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, the trigger event. To really grasp the whole situation, you have to understand the context of Charlie Kirk's death.
Yeah, the founder of Turning Point USA.
Right. He was assassinated recently. I mean, a truly shocking event. And obviously it sent huge waves through the political world, got massive national attention.
Understandably so.
So Jimmy Kimmel, on his show, addressed Kirk's death. This was on his monologues Monday and Tuesday this week, and according to an Associated Press report, which spread like wildfire, Kimmel made some comments about the reaction. Specifically, the quote that seems to be at the center of it all is him saying that many in supporters of the Make America Great Again movement are working very hard to capitalize on the murder.
And that lit the fuse.
That seems to be the one. That quote really kicked off the firestorm we're seeing now.
And immediately, you had this intense debate explode.
Right.
Was it just flat out inappropriate, insensitive timing given the tragedy?
Or was it, as some argued, a legitimate, maybe blunt critique of political opportunism they saw happening?
Exactly. But, wherever you land on the comments themselves, what's really striking is the corporate reaction that followed. It was just boom, swift, huge, and surprisingly coordinated.
Yeah, the corporate response is, well, it's really something to see. It's like a perfect illustration of how things work behind the curtain in media today when, controversy hits the fan.
A domino effect almost.
Totally. A corporate domino effect.
Right.
The first big domino to fall was Nexstar Communications Group. Now, these guys are huge.
The biggest owner of local TV stations in the U.S., right?
The biggest. They operate something like 28 ABC affiliates covering a massive chunk of the country. So Andrew Alford, he's the president of their broadcasting division, puts out this statement, calls Kimmel's comments offensive and insensitive, especially given the critical time in our national political discourse.
Strong words.
Very. And then, bam, Nexstar announces they're pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live starting Wednesday. Just like that. No talks, no grace period, gone from their stations.
Wow. Immediate.
Immediate. But they weren't the only ones. Sinclair Broadcast Group, another major player they own, 38 local stations?
Another big portfolio.
They jumped in too. They demanded Kimmel apologize publicly to Kirk's family. And not just that, they wanted him to make a meaningful personal donation to Turning Point USA.
So demanding financial compensation, essentially.
Basically, yeah. To the organization founded by the person he was talking about. And Sinclair, they took it another step further. They announced their ABC stations would air a tribute to Charlie Kirk on Friday night.
In Kimmel's time slot.
Directly in Kimmel's usual slot.
Yeah.
So it's not just pulling him, it's actively replacing him with counter-programming. It's quite a mouth.
It really speaks volumes about the power dynamics, doesn't it? These local affiliate groups, like Nexstar and Sinclair, they have enormous leverage. People sometimes forget that.
How so, exactly?
Well, they're the gatekeepers, right? They control how the network's shows actually reach viewers in local areas. So if enough big groups say, we're not carrying this show, even a giant like ABC, which is owned by Disney,
right, Disney,
they have to listen. They have to prioritize keeping those affiliates happy. It becomes a fundamental business calculation, really. Protecting those distribution deals often outweighs protecting the talent, even long-running talent.
So faced with this, like you said, this affiliate revolt, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
ABC acted incredibly fast. I mean, stunningly fast. This is a show they've aired since 2003. That's what, over 20 years?
A cornerstone of their late-night lineup for ages.
And they just suspended it indefinitely.
No, messing around.
So what does that speed tell us? I mean, they didn't seem to try and negotiate, didn't let Kimmel say anything publicly first. What's the takeaway there about where the power really sits?
I think it tells us that for a network like ABC, that relationship with the affiliates is just paramount. It's the bedrock of their broadcast business model, fundamentally.
Okay.
So they didn't pause. They didn't give Kimmel a platform to explain or apologize on air. They didn't wait to gauge public reaction further. They just cut it off to stop the bleeding with the affiliates.
Protect the business relationship first.
Exactly. It underscores that harsh reality. When significant economic pressure hits, even a network backed by, the full might of Disney will make incredibly swift business decisions that impact talent, rather than risk a wider fallout with their stadium partners. It's a real wake-up call about who ultimately answers to whom in that structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this other layer which makes it even more complicated, the federal angle.
Right. You mentioned that the AP report hinted at it.
Yeah, the Associated Press reported that the affiliates' move was, and this is the quote, cheered on by a top federal regulator. Now, the report didn't name the regulator.
But the implication is huge.
It's massive because broadcast TV is heavily regulated by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. Stations need licenses to operate. Those licenses aren't guaranteed forever.
They could be challenged.
They could be challenged, even revoked in extreme cases. So if a regulator, even unnamed, signals displeasure with content, even if it's just cheering on others taking action, that sends a very loud message to station owners.
A chilling effect.
Precisely. It creates a chilling effect without any direct government censorship order. It signals potential trouble down the line, license renewal time, things like that. And that potential threat, it can absolutely influence programming decisions across the board, far beyond just Jimmy Kimmel. It could make everyone hesitant about touching sensitive political topics.
So stepping back then, what's the bigger picture here for free expression in the media in the U.S. right now?
Well, it's a stark example of how economic forces can effectively curb speech.
Yeah, because ABC didn't suspend him because the comments broke a law or an FCC rule. They did it because of business pressure from affiliates.
Exactly. Economic pressure trumped, or at least sidelined, traditional free speech considerations in that moment.
And it also shows how vulnerable even really big names can be, doesn't it? I mean, Kimmel's not exactly new to this. He's got a huge platform, 2 decades on air.
A massive following, institutional backing.
Right. So if he can be sidelined indefinitely like this over comments that sparked controversy, what is that signal for, other comedians, other hosts who maybe don't have that same level of clout or protection?
It's a sobering thought. It suggests the safety net, even for established figures, might be thinner than people assumed when corporate interests and political pressure align in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And that ties right back into that subtle but very real influence of the regulatory environment. Like we said, no government agency ordered Kimmel off the air.
No direct censorship.
No. But that reported nod of approval from a regulator, it sends that clear signal about acceptable boundaries. It essentially ratifies the affiliate's decision without leaving any official fingerprints. And that feeds into a wider corporate nervousness about political speech, especially in such a polarized time. The line of what's considered too hot to handle seems to be moving, and maybe moving pretty fast.
Okay, but we also need to acknowledge the specific context here, the Charlie Kirk situation itself.
Absolutely critical context.
Charlie Kirk was, objectively a polarizing figure. He had very strong supporters who saw him as a vital voice and equally strong critics.
Right. Deeply admired by many on the right, heavily criticized by the left.
But his assassination was a genuine tragedy, a violent death that shocked people across the board.
Mm.
So Kimmel's comments, specifically about people capitalizing on that death, it clearly hit a raw nerve for many, the timing, the tone. There's often an expectation, right or wrong, of a kind of grace period, a pause on sharp political critique immediately after something like that.
Yeah, a sense of decorum, perhaps, that many felt was violated.
So where does that leave Kimmel now? His show's future, as the AP said, really hangs in the balance. ABC hasn't canceled it outright.
But no return date announced either.
Yeah.
Indefinite suspension is, well, indefinite.
Right. It could be days, could be weeks, months. We just don't know. What are the possible scenarios, do you think?
Well, you could see a negotiated return, maybe involving some kind of public apology or statement, perhaps some kind of internal agreement about future commentary. Or Kimmel could dig in his heels, refuse to apologize, which might lead to a much longer suspension, maybe even eventual cancellation.
Or he could just leave, right? Go somewhere else.
That's another possibility. Maybe he tries to take his show to a streaming platform or cable where the affiliate structure isn't a factor. Or, and this is maybe the biggest implication, this whole incident just becomes the new normal, a precedent for how networks handle controversial talent when pressured by affiliates and perhaps regulators.
It's a template for the future.
Exactly. And this whole situation, it's not just about one person or one comment. It really lays bare how power functions in the media ecosystem today.
Yeah.
You see all these forces converging.
Like what?
Like corporate consolidation, fewer companies, owning more outlets. The leverage that gives affiliate groups like Nexstar and Sinclair. The background hum of federal regulatory influence. And overlaying it all, this intense political polarization we're living through.
So the fact that just two companies could essentially force ABC's hand.
It shows you how concentrated media ownership translates directly into content decisions. And think about it. As traditional TV viewing habits change, as more people shift to streaming.
Networks become even more reliant on those local affiliates.
Arguably, yes. Those affiliate deals become even more crucial for their broadcast revenue and reach, which potentially makes networks more sensitive to anything that might rock that boat. It really paints a picture of who's calling the shots when it comes to what ends up on our screens.
So wrapping this up, it feels like regardless of where you stand personally on Kimmel's comments or on the suspension itself, this whole episode reveals some pretty stark truths about the media landscape.
Definitely.
We've seen pretty clearly that big media companies, when pushed, seem likely to prioritize their core business relationships, the affiliate deals over defending controversial speech, even from their own stars.
Bottom line talks.
We've learned, or been reminded, that even the hint of federal regulatory disapproval carries significant weight, a kind of power wielded without direct orders.
That chilling effect is real.
And maybe most surprisingly for some, we've seen just how much power these local affiliate station groups actually wield over the national networks, more than many probably realized.
Absolutely. It's a wake-up call about that dynamic. And I think it suggests that while Jimmy Kimmel's own future is obviously uncertain right now, so is the broader future for truly independent, maybe challenging or provocative commentary within that mainstream corporate media system.
This isn't just a blip. It sets a precedent. It's going to be in the back of the minds of hosts, comedians, journalists, producers.
Thinking about what they can say, how far they can push.
Exactly. It sends a very clear signal about where the boundaries are and who has the power to enforce them quickly and decisively.
So for you listening, we'll leave you with this to think about. What's your take on the Kimmel suspension? Do you see it as a necessary response to comments that crossed a line, maybe deeply insensitive ones?
Or do you see it as a dangerous step towards corporate censorship, where business interests and political pressure can effectively silence voices? As you watch TV, as you consume news and commentary, maybe think about the kind of media environment you want. Is it one where corporate calculations and political sensitivities can lead to quick suspensions like this? Or is it one that safeguards space for difficult conversations, for challenging viewpoints, even the ones that make us really uncomfortable? Something to consider.